All right, so oil back below 90 today, all right? And the White House talking about maybe having made some progress in the talks with Iran. And Tehran, state media there has reported that Iran's committed to restoring traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. But, you know, listen, nothing has been signed just yet. So let's bring Doug Flynn in, Flynn Zito Capital Management. Apologies for a segment that's cut short by Patrick McEnroe. You can't get Patrick to stop talking.
That was fun.
But oil, he is fun. The oil... What are traders pricing in now? Oil, of course, trades in the future, literally.
Right.
How are they doing this in this environment?
It's trading right now, I guess, on a contained conflict sort of price. So I would say the panic premium is out, but you know, it's not pricing in peace just yet. But on the U.S. WTI version,
Right.
we are down 20% from the high, from 112 down to below 90.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big. And on the other version, the Brent, that's down about a third in price. Now, of course, that only means a 2% drop at the gas pump. It's down about 10 cents from the high because, as we've talked about a lot, it takes a while for that to trickle down to the gas pump. But that's a good sign, and I think that that's what it's pricing in right now.
Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it. It was very specific. It contained conflict. In other words, it's not going to get worse necessarily, right, but it's not going to be over. Is that correct? And they don't know when it's going to be. I mean, none of us do when it's going to be over. So you got to kind of hedge your bets. Is that basically what you're saying?
It's exactly right. So that's kind of the cautionary way that they're looking at it, but it is easing a bit, and so that, of course, can change at any moment. But that's where it seems to be priced right now from the oil trader perspective.
Okay, here's another, what I think is an interesting story today. I remember when we used to talk this way about Tesla, but the stock price for Ford has been surging. You say, oh man, they must be selling cars like crazy. But apparently it doesn't have much to do with cars at all. Here's the Wall Street Journal's article about it, talking about the automaker's foray into the energy storage business. All right, so it's the batteries, right?
That's right. And so this is pretty smart, actually. I mean, the stock is up about 28% in the last 2 weeks, but it's, as you said, not on the car sales. It's on the fact that they basically had invested a ton of money into EVs, like many of the car manufacturers. But what they did was they pivoted and sort of repurposed all of that EV, the batteries, and they decided to go into sort of turning that battery capacity into energy storage for the AI data centers and for utilities and whatnot. And so now the stock is acting a little bit more like AI in that front and moving on that with the idea that, you know, they're going to pull this off. It's a big opportunity, but, you know, this is not guaranteed. They actually have to turn this into contracts and deliveries and ultimately revenue for this to work. But it is a wise way to repurpose that. If you're not going to use that towards your EVs because you're going to pivot as a company, what can you do with all this money you've committed? And so that's what's going on here with Ford right now. It's
either, like you said, a great pivot and a great way to make money, and a lot of other companies are all going to become AI companies, or it's the sign that maybe we're in bubblicious times in the AI world. But it's interesting nonetheless. Thank you, Doug, as always.
You bet.
Doug Flynn.